Okay, this video is about DNA activation. A few weeks ago, I had an experience where I think this directly correlates with that topic. I was visited by my friends from Michigan here in Vancouver, and prior to having this DNA activation, initiation or change was we had two Changa trips prior to this experience. So that week was extremely intense for me, but I think that offset my body and my spirit, just allowing for change to occur. So I'm gonna go right into it. We were hanging out in my room, and all of a sudden I fell into this old pattern of anxiety, and funny enough, I forgot what day it was, but this was on like a super full moon or something. So it was making sense now, reflecting back, that old patterns and old ways of coping were coming up. But so yeah, I was having an extreme anxiety attack. My body was shaking really hard. I got cold, even though it was really hot in my room. I had to put huge jacket on and blankets, and my body was just constantly shaking. My jaw clenched, and it was doing something that usually used to happen to me when I had panic attacks. But throughout the entire night, as time went on, I started to realize there was a significance to this. Sorry, there's a significance to the things that were occurring to me. The first thing I realized was that my friends really wanted to go outside to have to whisper specific things because my landlord is crazy. They wanted to go outside to smoke a joint. But I knew that, well, they kept saying it's going to make you feel better, but I knew something told me you cannot leave. You have to work with this. You have to manage this. So I felt terrible. I thought that I was bringing them down and like ruining their last day with me, but I realized after I said no to doing that, I got the message that I was in touch with my intuition, and that was absolutely where I needed to be. And one of the specific messages I got was, if you would have went out there, you would have never gotten this experience to interact solely with your body and your cells and your energy. And if you would have went out there, it would have gotten worse, and you wouldn't have learned past this old coping mechanism. So that was the first sign. The second thing that occurred, okay, it's all kind of mixed in my head, but I believe the second thing that occurred was, I can't really remember, but I'll just think of random memories of it. I had an image of a dark burnt field. Everything was dead, and my body went back into that anxiety and fear again. And then I turned something on, and then I said, I'm going to change the image. And right as I changed the image, it went to a field of sun and beauty and flowers, and the anxiety was gone. Now I remember what I wanted to say before this event. It was during my anxiety attack, something came over me where I grew curiosity. There was a curiosity that grew within me, and it said, what would happen if you just turned the anxiety off? So I thought for a second, and then after I thought, I was just like, just do it. So it felt like a sliding glass door. Here was anxiety. Here was the other side of observation. I took the door and I slid it shut. And all of a sudden, my anxiety was gone. And what I originally thought was, I had dealt with this for years. If only I knew that it was that easy, that I had the power to just slide it off, and it was gone. Okay, so after the turning it off thing, I had the visual thing where I realized if you think of dark things, you will continue to create a reality of darkness. The next set of lessons I learned was that my anxiety was a testing ground. It was being triggered to show and reveal what my body and my brain and mind and spirit was capable of. So every single time my anxiety would arise, I would be met with certain games to figure out how to cope on an entirely new level of existing. Okay, so after the image of the burnt field versus the light field came, I think the next thing was just words. There were words of love, and then there were words of hate and doubt. And immediately I was doubting that this situation and that this observation was even occurring. But then another thing came over me where it said, why don't you try to use your thoughts? So I used my thoughts to reinforce the positivity, and what do you know? That anxiety was gone once again. I had specific things that happened, but it's been so long. It's only been a few weeks, so I can't recall everything. But the next thing, I remember. No. Okay, so the next thing I remember was that I saw these two hands, and in that moment I knew these two hands meant the Creator. The Creator was holding a ball of light, a sphere of light, and over in the backdrop and far away I saw my body laying there. I was watching from just the witnesser, the observer. I was watching my body, and I was watching the Creator of my body, I guess, put this sphere of light into my heart chakra. And I remember ascending and watching my body ascend and glowing, and my whole body began to tingle, and I felt alive. I felt so alive for the very first time in a decade. And then I was met with people. They seemed to be very angelic beings, and they told me some things. They told me some knowledge, and I remember I got so excited because it was the answer. It was the key to learning how to sustain this light. And it was it was more in depth than that, but they told me something that was very ancient and sacred, and I went back to the physical reality, the physical realm, to my friends who were kind of almost asleep, and I said, you guys, I have something to tell you. It's really important. And then immediately I was shut down, and those angelic beings, they told me that knowledge was only for me, and they erased it from my consciousness. They erased whatever they told me because I abused, not really abused. I was unaware of the fact that that was sacred knowledge for my own progression. So I began to feel a little bit sad about that. And with that sadness triggered, it was a new doorway. I saw visions of me dying, and I saw a white field with snow, and I saw blood prints and droplets on the snow. I look over to my best friend and I tell her that. And she starts talking, and we just fell into this really dreamlike dialogue, and it was happening. But she says that she was experiencing something similar to that, and then she said something about a shape of a half sunrise with like this, just a complex image. She talks about it, and then I look at her and I said, that was exactly what I saw after my Changa trip. And then we just fell in, we held hands, and we just looked into each other's souls, and we pretty much just cried. Our other friend was asleep, so this was just a whole galactic journey between us. But we held hands, and through that experience of connectivity, we were sharing the same vision. She saw the field of us sitting there dying in the snow, and it was all so real. And yeah, okay. Sorry, I could go on forever. This was such a beautiful experience for me, and her, of course. But okay, at one point we were holding hands like this, and then it felt like hours went by, and we looked at each other, and I said, I can't tell the difference between your hand, your body, and my hand and my body. It was numb, and the frequency and the vibrations were just, it was just one body. We were one spirit. And that's kind of how it felt on acid. Sorry. Okay, that's kind of how it felt on acid a few times, where I couldn't tell the difference. Even mushrooms, actually. Most psychedelics. But I reached that state of being without the use of psychedelics. And so then there was a point of the veil opening. We both saw it. We both knew that the portal of death, the emergence of going back into the consciousness, the eternal oneness, was at our doorstep. And we cried because we knew it was time to die. And our bodies were, I kept telling her, I'm being taken. My legs were being just pulled straight up. And I couldn't feel my body. I was so disconnected from the physical body. I felt like I could look back at myself. And we were both feeling it. And then I asked her, are you ready to go? Because she's my twin flame. I don't know if I've said that before, but I said, are you ready? I'm ready, let's go. And she looked at me, and she had so much pain in her eyes, and she just started crying. And then she says, I love it too much. I love this physical world. I like being a human. And in that very, very moment, I realized that was only an aspect of me that didn't want to go yet. I thought that I was ready, but I looked at her in her eyes, and I said I had to respect the fact that my other half, my other projection of me, was still attached in the most beautiful way to this world. So we went through that for a while, and then I had my other arm open, not holding anything, and then this arm holding her. But at one point, I said, Maddie, there's someone else holding my hand. They want me to come. And I told her, if I look that way, I think I'll be too enticed. I'll want to go too badly. So I didn't look for a really, really long time at who was holding my right hand, who was pulling me to that other void space. But then we just cried and looked in each other's eyes, and we're communicating via eyes and transmitting love and knowledge and words and many, many light-filled conversations and communications between each other, not even by speaking. But at one point, we knew we slightly discussed, our DNA is shifting, we're dying, we're shedding the layer, something is gone. But at one point, we communicated that she let me go. Our hands were still, oh, that's the thing. I was saying to her, it hurts, it's really hurting me, because our hands were connected and it was pinching, and like my whole arm felt like it was being torn. And I kept telling her, us doing this is really hurting each other. We have to let each other go. But it's funny because we really, I don't think we even said this, but we both knew what we were saying. And I just kept saying, it hurts. This is detrimental to both of us. We have to let each other go. And then as the night went on, I think she eventually, I don't remember when, but she eventually let go of me. And I looked to my right and I was gone. But in that moment, I knew that I was coming back because I was aware that my best friend, my sister, was me, and her not being ready was me not being ready in a sense. So I knew that I was going there to do some work, but that I would be back and I would return, and I knew that a part of me would die. So, a few visuals I saw was, okay, sorry, I'm itchy. A few visuals that I've seen many times whenever I go to this death space is two waterfalls colliding like this, just colliding. And many times have I seen this, and I've seen it when I'm high and I'm not high, and I've seen it when I feel like I'm dying, and in my near-death experiences I see it. So it's the two waterfalls, and it looks, I see myself like fall or jump, and I'm consumed by the water, and then I see my body floating beneath the two waterfalls, and I'm extremely blue, and I'm just floating in the stream of consciousness. And from there on out, I saw many visions, but they were so detailed that I don't want to go into it, but I just wanted to bring up the waterfalls because that is something that happens every single time to me. And so yeah, I think I need to stop saying I think. I know this experience was a DNA activation for me and my twin flame / other self. And I know that's because I have emerged myself on this path, and I have ascended to this level. I know that all beings around me are also in this position of transformation, and that the DNA of the collective is changing. It is the golden age, the golden spiral. Everything is changing, and it's beautiful. And I'm going to cut this short now because that's all I really wanted to say. That was my DNA activation and death experience, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.